Alrighty, so that is recording. Alrighty, why don't we start in here? We just want to welcome everybody to our third admin training for DC Octo. We're super excited today to get started and to have another training session with you guys. So today's agenda, we're going to really quickly meet the team here. We're going to do our first in-depth will be introduction to reporting. And inside there, we're going to do the importance of reporting, types of reporting in govDelivery, subscriber activity report, wireless report, bulletin detail report, and bulletin analytics report. So all different types of reports that you'll be able to generate after this session. And then our third topic is generating insights. And then we will have a Q&A and just mention our upcoming training. So that is our agenda today. Any questions on that? Nope. Okay. So just to meet our team here, I'm Tammy Hollingsworth, and I'm your project manager for DC Octo. I'm with Granicus, and I've been here for over a year. And Zach, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you, Tammy. I'm Zach Schwartz. I am a digital marketing program manager here with Granicus, working with govDelivery, and I have been with Granicus for nearly 3 months at this point, or two and a half, something like that. And before that, digital marketing in and around DC. So.
Thank you. Janice?
Yeah, thanks, Tammy. I'm a digital strategy specialist. I'm Janice Vasquez. I've been working at Granicus for about 2 years now. And yeah, I just do a lot of, I'm going to be helping them out with this training today.
Thanks, you guys. All righty, so we want to welcome all of you administrators, and feel free to post any comments or questions in the chat box. And I'll try to keep an eye on that and incorporate your questions. Or at the end of the session, we do have a Q&A, and we're happy to answer all of your questions. And if we don't have an answer, we'll get one. So let us begin. Let me get on the right page here. All righty.
Thank you, Tammy. So
Sure.
I will get started. So today we're going to be talking about reporting, what it is, why we do it, and why it's important. And before we get too deep into this, we want to take a moment just to go over kind of the fundamentals and the basics. If you go to the next slide, Tammy.
Sure.
So what reporting is, what we're going to be talking about today. Reporting is what we do to track success and also to give ourselves a sense of positioning. Reporting allows us to pinpoint where we are on our journey to our goals. It's sort of like we're taking a compass reading when we're out on a hike, or pinpointing ourselves on a map with our destination in mind. Reporting and analytics give us tangible feedback on our outreach efforts, and they allow us to share that feedback with other members of the team. And the thing about reporting is that without reports, you really have no way of knowing if your efforts have been successful. And at the end of the day, we all want to know that we've made an impact, both personally and on behalf of the DC government. So what we like to keep in mind as digital marketers is that if you're not measuring results, then you really have no results. And we'll be explaining that kind of throughout. So on a basic level, reporting allows you to measure your impact. After you send messages out in govDelivery, reporting will let you be sure that people have received them and that they are reading them, and that it's giving you kind of that basic feedback that is necessary for any communication. If you, on a sort of fundamental level, if you're communicating but no one is hearing you, are you even really communicating? So you're getting that necessary feedback to close that loop. It also provides an opportunity to learn more about your audience or about your program. Reporting is a great place to discover new opportunities and innovate new solutions based on what you can learn. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, reporting allows you to share your success. Reporting allows you to point out to your leadership and to your teamwork, to your team members, what works, and you can take those learnings to other members of your team and other community organizations, and you can say, not only that this works, but you can say this works and we can prove it. Thank you. So just to visualize this another way, reporting gives you data on how your message is received, then you can analyze that data to get better insight and understanding of your audience and your needs, and then take that new understanding to improve your messaging and continually optimize towards your goals. I think you can go ahead.
Yeah, so some things to consider about reporting. First off, subscriber growth. Really thinking about how many new subscribers have been added to your topic or account. Like think about like, is your audience growing? Where does your audience come from? And what topics are they most interested in? And then also open rate. Open rate is very important just because you're considering like how many people actually are opening your emails. Depending on like different messages that are being sent out. Is that changing over time? Is it higher? Is it lower? And really just trying to understand like how does your audience's interests align with what you're trying to promote within your messages? And so that's a good thing to keep in mind. And then also for click rates, like after you open an email, how many people are actually clicking on a link within your email? And so it's just like an understand like what links are generating the most clicks and how is that changing over time between each message. So some good metrics to consider. For the next slide, yeah, thank you, Kimmy. So here are a couple of the key metrics that are actually in the governance guide. And the ones that are like highlighted in blue, like the blue rectangle, those are the ones that we're really going to focus on today in this training. For email, it's mainly like the open rate, click rate, total sent delivered, a couple other ones. And then for SMS or wireless messages, mostly on like the bulletin sent. So like how many messages were sent using SMS, whether it's recipients, deliveries, and failed deliveries. And we'll go into more of those metrics later in a little bit. But first, looking at all the different types of govDelivery reports that are actually available. So there are 4 main ones that are accessible, and you can actually get to them within govDelivery by looking at your left-hand like navigation tab. And when you click on reports, you'll be taken to this page where it shows you all the different types of reports. And there are 2 main ones or columns that have all the different types of reports available. First being like the subscriber activity report, wireless message report, and also bulletin details and analytics. Those are actually in the same place because you can actually reach the bulletin details report within the bulletin analytics report. And we can point out how to do that if you guys don't know already. So for the next slide, Timmy. Thank you. Yeah, so this is the subscriber activity report. Essentially, it provides a comprehensive information regarding subscriber and subscription growth over a customized visible period of time. And the first section, there's like 2 sections to it. There's a summary section. There's also a detail section. The summary section is really just an overview of the report's contents. And on the right-hand side, you can see what it includes. It's broken down between subscriber profiles on the left-hand side and the subscription on the right-hand side. And subscriber profiles are legitimately like how many new subscribers are within your account or where are they coming from. So it's like a breakdown between the origins and what's the change in total subscribers and how many people were deleted. And then subscriptions really like how many people have subscribed to your different topics. So they're slightly different, and that's why they have different numbers. And then subscriptions will usually be higher than subscribers because subscribers can subscribe to multiple different topics or subscriptions. And then if you see the graph on the bottom, it shows you pretty much like the past 30 days. Oh, thanks for zooming in. How many people have been added as a new subscriber based off where they came from, whether it's upload. So literally something that was just you just upload the new subscriber through your database or like a network. So whether they came from somewhere else within the DC district account a sign up builder, so someone just coming through your website, overlay, something similar as well. And then direct is just like inserting it into your database or to govDelivery. So those are the main components of the subscriber activity, and it's a great one to use. Yeah, so for the detail section, it's just kind of like going to the more of the granular activity of the subscriber origin data and the total subscriptions by day. And you can really use it to monitor your subscriber subscription percentage growth per day. And it just has like a lot more detail versus the other one was just more like an overview. And this one is just like gives you pretty much all the different numbers and where it came from by day. Yeah, so we go to the next slide. We have a use case. So looking at this example of utilizing the subscriber activity report, something to point out, you guys might have already caught this when we were going through, is that there were a lot of uploads. I believe it was like 7,804 on July 12th. And that's just like something to note. I mean, this is for the sample is like for the district, the entire district account. But it's just like really interesting that there were quite a few uploads on one particular day, more than any other day in the past, what this graph shows. And that 7,000 number actually constituted for 99.8% of new subscribers in the district account. And the next slide, Timmy. Thank you. When you look at it from the detail section perspective, you'll actually see that there were two like pretty big uploads. The one that we mentioned earlier on July 12th, but then there's another one on July 19th that had 1,000 subscribers that were uploaded. And you might be thinking what I first thought when I first looked at this, like, oh, well, that's like 9,000 new subscribers. But if you look at July 16th, which is the red box, you notice that there are actually 2,000 deleted subscribers. And so that's why the number of new subscribers was only like 7,000 versus what could have been 9,000. But that tells us a lot of different things. Like, yeah, it could be deleted subscribers, it could be something else. And that's just like something that you can look into when you're looking at where did your subscribers come from and what happened within, like, after you send multiple messages, and like understand like why did they delete, or why did they decide to remove themselves from receiving more messages. But yeah, so that was the subscriber activity report. Does anyone have any questions before we move to the wireless messages? Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Janice. So continuing, so this is the wireless message report, is another report that we want to cover. This one has a little bit more of a limited use. It's really only for cases when you are delivering a lot of SMS or wireless messages, but it's good to keep an eye on in those cases. So the wireless message report provides details on bulletins sent to your subscribers over a period of time that you choose. And you can see there's a date range box you can put in there, and then it'll generate this report for you. Similar to the other report Janice was talking about, this is broken into two sections. There's a summary section that gives you account level metrics and a more specific detail section. So this summary section is a good way to get an overview of the account level health of your subscriber information when you're dealing with SMS messages. If a lot of your bulletins are not reaching their destinations, that's something that could indicate that there is a problem with your contact information or with the delivery system in some way. And this is a really good place to get just a quick check on that overall health, this summary section. And if you go to the next slide, Tammy. So the detail section, that was the summary report. This is the detail section. This will give you a bulletin by bulletin look at those delivery metrics. So if you see that your bulletins are not reaching their destination at the account level, you can go take a deeper look at the details section to pinpoint which specific bulletins or which specific subscriber lists might have that incorrect contact information, where the problem is coming from. You can see it here. These wireless reports also give you the a chance to see the volume of messages that are sent over a period of time, which can give you kind of a sense of how many SMSs you are sending to your subscribers, how many they might be receiving given in like a particular week, say, and to make sure that you're not overwhelming anybody. Next slide, please. So here, to see that in action, you can look at, this is how you might look at the bulletin detail subscriber list. The wireless report detail report, to get a sense of how healthy your contact list is and make sure that your bulletins are getting to where you want them to go. So what we're doing here is calculating a failure rate. The failure rate is the number of failed bulletins divided by the number of bulletins sent. And you can see here that for this call for grant reviewers, it's the third one from the top there. The call for grant reviewers, about 7% of bulletins didn't make it to their destinations, whereas this, the first one, or the second one from the top, the Right Care Right Now subscribers, that bulletin failed to reach almost 18% of destinations. And I just wanted to call this out here because I wanted to highlight that while there were a greater number of failed deliveries on the call for grant reviewers, the Right Care Right Now bulletin had a greater proportion of failures. And it's important to keep both in mind when you are assessing the health of your contact lists, both the overall number, you want to make sure that you're reaching the number that you want, and also the overall out of 100%, what is that rate of failure? If you go to slide 19, please. Next, we want to look at the bulletin detail report, which provides metrics that can tell you much more about how your subscribers are actually interacting with the content of your bulletins, how they're engaging what is in your emails. So first, the channel and deployment summary here will give you a brief confirmation that your bulletins have been delivered and through which channels your subscribers are receiving them, along with a top level bounce rate, open rate, and click rate. The landing page links there, that section will tell you which destination URLs are the most interesting to your subscribers. And the bulletin link overview give you what those specific URLs are that people are heading are off to, which pages they're visiting. And the important thing to look at, oh, sorry, if you could go back, Tammy, thanks. The important thing to look at in these sections are the number and total, so the number of total and unique clicks there in the landing page links section. A high number of clicks here will tell you that your content is relevant and is of interest to the people who you're speaking to, while a lower number will mean that it's not quite what your audience is looking for, that you are serving them something that maybe they're not as interested in as they might be in something else. Now, if you could go to the next slide, please. Thanks. So also in the bulletin detail report, you'll also be able to see your email delivery stats, which tell you how quickly the email was delivered over time. Mostly you're going to see that this is pretty quick. Here you can see this was fully deployed within 5 minutes. Though for a larger audience, this could take a little bit more time. It's not really a problem, but it is good to keep an eye on, make sure that things are getting out in a timely way. The bulletin detail report will also give you delivery metrics, including deliveries, bounces, and unsubscribes, as well as your total number of unique clicks, all in a quick section here so that you can get just a good read on your subscriber engagement. Finally, the delivery performance overview section of this report lets you examine the volume of subscribers that are receiving bulletins through email, SMS, and digests. Digests are an option that subscribers can choose to receive a single email that compiles all the emails sent to a topic on a daily or weekly basis. And what this delivery performance overview does is it lets you monitor delivery and open metrics for each channel. So you can get that feedback that people are, again, actually receiving the emails, and lets you track and compare how people open and read these bulletins on each channel, giving you that comprehensive overview. And I want to just take a minute here. I know sometimes I tend to speak a little quickly. If you have any questions, please, you can pop them in the chat or let us know. Wanted to make sure that we cover that too. So thanks.
So for the bulletin detail reports, so here's an example that we wanted to show. We actually sent, because you guys all attended, so this email probably looks really familiar to you. So it's one of our messages that we sent to promote this training. Just like looking at the bulletin analytics, we can see that there was actually a really strong open rate, 23.2%. So thank you all for opening the email, as well as clicking on it, which we'll actually talk about later. But what that really tells us is that you guys are interested in learning about reporting. And yeah, so I think for the next slide, we also want to clarify like what the difference between total versus unique opens, because we actually received that question in our last training. So we wanted to give you kind of like a visual diagram of what that means. So if we look at this, we'll see that on the top there, we look kind of the difference between like guy and girl, but just icons. You see that there is like the subscriber one. They opened it the same person opened it 3 times, and then their subscriber 2 opened it 1 time. And so that's equivalent to the total opens. So that's why there's 4 opens. But then if you look at the one on the bottom, you'll see that the purple lady, she opened it once, and then there's a new purple lady who opened it twice. But that's actually, because that's a unique open, it only counts for 2. And so essentially unique is like, it's based off the individual, not based off like how many times you clicked on it.
The question in the chat, it says, what happens if someone forwards the email and the recipient opens it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Typically what happens is that that's actually considered like and also like there's another option called like a shared feature. Essentially that tells you that that's like the shared number. I forgot this, I can't remember the exact metric now, but that does count as like a stat within govDelivery. Oh, does that answer your question, Liz? Sorry. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, so if we go to the next slide, you can see also the same message that we use to promote Administrator Training 3, this training, and we actually use landing pages to as like our destination page. And so when you clicked on it, you saw that it said, thank you for registering for admin training number 3. And what the bulletin analytics or bulletin detail report showed is that within the landing page, there were 9 unique clicks for the first link, and then 9 total clicks, and then the same number of unique clicks and total clicks for the second landing page. And the arrows point to where the landing pages are located in the email. And something that I thought was interesting was that when we're looking at the bulletin link overview, where Zach was talking about how it showed the different types of URLs in the email, even though like above it said like that would equivalent to the 9, but when you look at the link URL, it shows that it's only 10 unique clicks and the total number of clicks is 11. So that just tells us that somebody actually engaged in the same subscriber engaged in this URL or clicked on the URL more than once. And so that was really interesting. And we can talk about the breakdown in the next slide between total versus unique clicks. So looking at here, pretty much the same concept as we were talking about earlier between total versus unique opens. The man, let's say subscriber 1, he clicked on the same email 4 times. So that would be equivalent to 4 total clicks. But for the purple lady, let's say she clicked on it once and then another person clicked on it once. And so that would be 2 unique clicks. And that's the general concept. So our best practice is actually just to only calculate the unique clicks and unique opens, because we want to see the individuals actually clicking on these emails and opening them. Yeah. So, and then if we go to the next slide, I think we're talking about, oh yeah, the bulletin analytics report. So that's a complete listing of all your bulletins that are sent by your organization. And it's also split between two sections, a summary section and a delivery section. This one really helps you keep track of all of your bulletins that you're sent out. And it kind of gives you like, a lot of metrics of the impact, and it shows you like the impact of your multi-communication efforts. And you can really use it to help you analyze the total number of emails open, as well as the number of people that you've reached over time. And it can help you also find the average engagement metrics between like open and click rates. And then the detailed section actually tells you more specific metrics for each of the bulletins sent during a specified time frame. And what's nice about this one, I actually use the detail section a lot more than I use the summary section. Typically, I like to customize the fields. You'll see like a column box, and you can check as many boxes as you want. Usually when I'm looking at it, I use the like unique email opens, unique email open rate, same for the click rates, as well as like you can use it also to view SMS messages, whether it's like SMS click rate or SMS clicks, opens as well. You can see if it's like bulletin visibility. There's a lot of like different types of metrics, but those are the like usually the main ones that I look at. But you can just customize it based off, thanks. Based off what's important to you and your agency. And then when I was talking about earlier how bulletin detail and edits were in the same area. So if you notice that there's like under bulletin subject, it's actually highlighted in blue, and you can actually click on it, and that's how you can get to your bulletin detail report. So if we go to the next, yeah, thanks for zooming in. Yeah, so for the bulletin analytics use case, something that I like to do kind of like as a trick, because the district account has so many different topics. I mean, like for your agency, you'd probably just be seeing yours. But one of the things that we have for some of the messages that we're sending, we have like a lot of different messages. And so some of them come from like a welcome campaign. And in order to filter that out, because if I only wanted to analyze a search of measures like the one that we were promoting for this particular training, I actually can use that that search bar right there and just type in training. And then all the emails that have the word training in it would actually populate. And so that's what you see in this example here. And one of the things we wanted to point out as an insight was that we actually sent 3 emails to promote the last training, the one about training 2. And something that we noticed was that the last email, which is kind of like a reminder that we sent that day to promote the training, it was a reminder to like, hey, come to our training. And that one actually had the most opens, but it had the lowest engagement. And to me, that wasn't like that surprising because we already sent 2 other emails to promote the training. So probably similar number of people opened the email, but didn't click on it because they already had it in mind, maybe in the back of their inbox. But it was nice to see that with the addition of the word reminder, that increased urgency and caused people to open the email. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you, Janice. So now we want to talk about, like you were talking about, getting the insights out of that report. We want to talk more about how to go about generating those insights. You have all these reports. What do you do with them? How do we get value out of them and find new ways to improve? So fundamentally, when we talk about analysis and insight, we're talking about a few ways of going about reading the data and more of a methodology and a mindset of how you approach this. So firstly, it's about looking for patterns. Patterns in the data are going to tell you what is normal. And this may seem overly simple, but it really is fundamentally important to begin with an understanding of what to expect from an average result. You need to know what the data ought to look like to know if it's successful. Whether that's something like you can expect a 100% delivery rate from your email bulletins, or you can expect a 23% open rate like we showed earlier, that understanding of what is consistent and regular gives you a place to start when you're trying to find what works better or worse than usual. Also, kind of along these lines is the importance of keeping benchmarks. Tracking your highest results and your lowest results and determining what an average result will look like gives you the ability to recognize success when it does show up. I don't know about you all, but I have been watching a lot of the Olympics recently, and during like the swimming competition, they'll put a little graphic up on the screen that says like the world record for this event is 1 minute and 32 seconds or something like that. So you can know that, okay, this swimmer just did it in 1 minute and 33 seconds. Like, oh, that's really good. That's almost a world record. They did a great job. So similarly, having these benchmarks is really useful when you share your results with other people. So if you say, for this last email, we had an open rate of 23%, and they might say back to you, is that good? And then you can use benchmarks to say, yeah, no, it's higher than it usually is, or it's roughly in line with how it usually is. Gives you a place to compare. And then that last bit about analyzing results I want to talk about is the idea of managing towards exceptions. And that's this idea about finding the unexpected, finding what doesn't fit those patterns that we talk about, and investigating them. Find out why they perform differently and replicate it. If you're able to constantly make more of your performance look like the exceptional performance, then you're continually moving that benchmark higher and higher, and you are moving forward on your goals, just one step at a time. So managing towards exceptions is about finding the pattern, finding what breaks the pattern, and then replicating that. Now, once you've got those insights and you've done that analysis, we want to talk about how you communicate that. It's great that you have that insight, but if you are unable to share it with your team, it doesn't do quite as much good. A great idea that you don't talk about is just a little thought you've had to yourself. So we want to talk about some of the ways in which you can talk about your success and some of the metrics that you can use to do that. Excuse me. So firstly, reach is a great way to talk about success. You can use the bulletin analytics or the detail report to show the volume of people that you're reaching, and that's a great way to understand your impact. You can also use the subscriber activity report to show changes in subscription, whether that's going up or down. You can use that to indicate changes in interest and in awareness. You could say, look, we started here and now we're here. Great way to communicate your success. Thanks, Tammy. Another important avenue here is the successful channels. With reach, you talk about how many people engage, and with successful channels, you can talk about how people engage. Using the bulletin detail or the wireless message reports, you can say, here are the locations in which people engage in our content, whether that is an email or a digest or an SMS. You can discuss the ways in which people are physically interacting with you, and maybe that can tell you more about your audience. And next slide. Thanks. Finally, engagement, which is just a very important way to discuss about this. Using the bulletin detail report, you can point to specific data that demonstrates what your audience cares about. You can share what subject lines and messages are really grabbing attention. And you can say, this audience opened up this email multiple times. There must be something in there that we want to go back and focus on. So that's just a few ways that you can use these metrics to call out and communicate with other members of your team what's working, and ways that you can use those numbers to put them in a context that leads generally towards success. And lastly, I think just before we wrap up, we want to take a minute to talk about the content piece of all this. We've talked a lot about channels and delivery and subscribers and everything, but it's important to keep an eye on the actual content that is being delivered, that email message or SMS message. And reporting here can help you really quite a lot. So using those open rates and engagement metrics from the reports we discussed, you can understand what is successful. You can find out what's working, what's great, what people are engaging with more than other things. and really get an idea of what your audience is looking for. So then you take those learnings and you keep what works, and you maybe move away from what doesn't work, and you try it again, and you keep going again and again. This is a process. It's about constantly reiterating and refining and taking the new results and then finding again, did this keep working? Is it still something that's interesting? How can we improve? So this process of examining results, refining the content, and then examining the results again, it's just an ongoing process of iterating on success. It's taking the good stuff and doing more of it. And with reporting and analytics, you can really pinpoint what that good stuff is. You want to be able to give people what they're looking for, the information that they want, and keep making things better and better. And what the reports will do is tell you what that is so that you can continue doing it more. So yeah, so Janice, I think, can you help?
Yeah.
We're good.
So
Thanks, Tammy.
I can help you guys like get access. Like this information is very valuable, and a lot of what we said today is actually in the governance guide. So I'm gonna tell you how to access it. I'll share my screen. Oh, I think it's to stop sharing screen first. Oh, thanks, David. Oh, I have it pulled up. So can everyone see my screen? Awesome. No, thanks, guys. So I'm on the Octo page, like the Office Chief Technology Officer, and if you just go here, it's like octo.dc.gov --page-development training and support, and then you see there's different sections, and right down here under connect to district data with web services, there's a link to the governance delivery guide. I mean govDelivery user guide. And if you just click on it, you'll be taken to here, and it provides a beautiful description of what the user guide includes. And you can just click on it. You can also download it, save it, print it out, do a lot of things. And the reporting section in particular is located on page. I'm not going to make you guys scroll through and watch me like go all the way down, because I already pulled it up. But essentially, it's like pretty much in the middle on page 27. And it first starts off with how to understand your results, and gives you the bulletin detail and analytics report. And then it has more detail about the bulletin detail report, as well as the metrics we were talking about earlier. And the same for the analytics report, and some description about the summary versus details tab that we were talking about. And then if you go down a little bit further, you'll see the what Zach was talking about earlier about wireless messages. And there is a section right here about SMS reporting. So, yep, that's about as much detail as we give in the user guide for reporting. So I'll stop sharing my screen. I think the last couple sections are
back. Yep, let's see, where did my screen go? Share screen. Alrighty. So that is pretty much the overview. We are happy. We've got plenty of time to take some questions. You guys can, feel free to ask away. Or you can type them in the chat if you feel more comfortable doing that. I'll keep an eye on that also. All right. Well, if anybody thinks of questions, feel free while we kind of wrap things up here. And while we want to let you know that the next learning opportunity is email and SMS writing best practices. And that will be on September 15th at 11 a.m. Eastern. And we will again be sending out information about that. And we hope that you guys, join us. And if you have any questions ahead of time or any questions on anything that we went over and you want answered, we'd be happy to incorporate that into our training. If you want samples, if you want to, say, hey, can you show us how this or that is done? We are happy to add that to a session. So keep that in mind. And let's see here. And that wraps up our training. We'll keep it open for a few minutes here for any other questions. Zach or Janice, do you guys have anything else?
No, I think, I think that covers it as far as these reports go. I do want to just say that it can be something that honestly could be a lot of fun to go through these reports and get a look at. Really, it's a great way to get feedback on what you've been working on. I know particularly that I love I love seeing the impact that the work has, and this report or these reports and kind of digging into the analysis of it is just a rewarding way of understanding that you are making a difference with your emails.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. I think my favorite part about reporting is just like I'm more of like in the nitty gritty stuff. I like analyzing between all the open rates and click rates to see the engagement between each of the messages. And like we work, me and Zach, we work on a lot of like campaigns, and we like to pretty much see like if you had 3 messages within a campaign, and then maybe your next year you have the exact same campaign. My favorite part is just like analyzing like what happens between year number 1 versus year number 2, and then compare between each one to see like, oh, if I made a change to year number 2 with the exact same campaign with new subject lines or new call to action buttons, like what actually happens, and then and I like generating those different types of insights from it. So like Zach said, reporting can be fun. I really like it. It's one of my favorite parts about it. But yeah.
Thanks, Janice. I love that. Yeah, and again, I have recorded the session, so I will be sending it to Liz. And if any of you guys would like to watch it again, you can reach out to her. Or if you have any questions or anything you'd like us to address in the next training, you can also let Liz know, and she will get a hold of us. So yeah, so thank you guys for joining. We really appreciate it. And I hope, I wish you guys happy reporting.
Thank you so much.
Have a good afternoon.
Bye.